Since of my upload schedule, it may already be out by the time you're watching this. All two of you. Anyway, what am I going to do to celebrate the release of a game that I will inevitably complain about for being fundamentally the same as last year? Well, complain about another wrestling game, of course. Now, a little while back, I did a video where I compared Here Comes the Pain to the most recent wrestling game at the time, 2K19. And in that video, I may have mentioned 2K15 once or twice and gave some fair, well-founded criticism. Look at you, 2K15, you flaming pile of garbage. And it's certainly better than 2K15. Get back down to hell where you came from, 2K15. Okay, maybe it wasn't the most constructive of criticism, but can you blame me? The game was announced and seen as the next step forward in WWE games, promising the most authentic wrestling experience you could possibly have, but when it came out, this is what we got instead.
Right near the top. Does it not? Oh, without a doubt.
The thing is, I remember the hype around this game. I remember seeing that first screenshot of John Cena with that chiseled, well-defined jawline. I remember being so ecstatic at the prospect of playing an actual career mode for the first time since 2008. So how, in the mother of God, could something so good in theory end up being such a disappointment? Well, that's what I'm going to find out today. Now, WWE 2K15 came out in October of 2014, and as you can see, has Big Match John as the cover superstar. And while I have nothing against Mr. Cena, wouldn't it have been better to put a fresh, up-and-coming WWE superstar on the cover? Like, oh, I don't know, Roman Reigns, maybe? Never mind. Good call, 2K. So the game starts up with a do not try this at home warning, which everyone of course listens to, and then you're straight into the main menu with a very disgusted looking John Cena on it. It's like he's so disappointed you bought this game, he won't even look at you. You'll probably get the general gist by now. You have the usual shit that you would find in any wrestling game, so let's just start with a nice and simple exhibition mode. Let me just go for a one-on-one match. Wait a minute. I know this might be a bit nitpicky, but these menus here, they don't make any fucking sense whatsoever. Like for a one-on-one match, a match that commonly has two people in it, you have one very disgruntled looking Dolph Ziggler on it. Then for a triple threat match, a match that normally has three people in it, you only have two people on it. I wonder how many people they're going to have in a fatal four-way. Oh yeah, of course it's only fucking three. I mean, the next match literally says 6-man. You can't go wrong. Oh, for fuck's sake! And for tournament, you have an Uso on it. Unless it's a tournament, see who can get a DUI the fastest. I got nothing. Right, so after you pick what match type you want and the stipulation, also very quickly, if someone can tell me the difference between an Extreme Rules match and a no-holds-barred match, that would be much obliged. You then pick from a slightly smaller roster than usual, still filled with great wrestlers, both new and old, but I hadn't unlocked half of them, and if you think I'm going to play through more of this game than I already have to, just to unlock Triple H with a different haircut, well then you're mistaken. That is some nice hair though. Anyway, you select your wrestlers, which arena you want, and then you're smoothly transitioned into the match. A main focus of this game's marketing was based on two things: the career mode and the overhauled graphics, which is for a fucking good reason, because the game looks insane. From the majority of in-game models to the arenas and even the crowd, everything looks great and is a massive improvement from past games in the series. However, you may have heard me say the majority of models look good. And the reason I say that is because some either look slightly off like Sheamus here, or completely fucking horrifying like some Ray and her 7-foot wide mouth. Fucking don't you look at me like that, hen. Although for the most part, the visuals are very well done. The gameplay, however, well, that's a different story entirely. Now I'm going to be 100% honest. I remember absolutely hating the way this game played when I originally had it back in 2015. So I was prepared to rip this game a new arsehole, but when I sat down and played it, I made a shocking discovery. It's not actually that bad. Yeah, surprisingly enough, the gameplay is actually pretty decent and enjoyable. Much like the graphics, all the moves from the strikes to the grapples and finishers all look fantastic. The wrestlers all feel totally unique to play as, making every match you play feel completely different from the last. This game is also when the series started to focus more on delivering an almost simulation-like feel to it, trying to best capture the in-ring action you'll see on Raw or SmackDown. Having more realistic details like characters visibly getting more and more tired throughout the match, even going as far to completely collapse after hitting a big move, or having to crawl over to make the cover, which in my humble opinion adds a nice dramatic wrinkle to the gameplay, making you have to watch how much stamina you have at critical moments in any match. The gameplay has also been significantly slowed down from past installments, which is a welcome change from the breakneck speeds that used to be the norm, although some strikes take what feels like an ice age to pull off. All the good stuff from the past games like catching finishers and oh my god moments are here too, but something I really appreciated when the game first came out is that the moves actually look like they hit, and some of the sells from wrestlers look fucking brutal.
Oh no!
Holy fuck, I've murdered a midget! Safe to say I was surprised at how decently the game played, however that doesn't mean the game still doesn't have its problems. The chain wrestling aspect for one is something that really began to bug me as it happens at the start of practically every match. Like, I get chain wrestling is a massive part of wrestling, but not every match has to start with it, and nor does every wrestler do it. They got this right in future games, only having select people do chain at the start of matches, but here it's still a bit stupid when you start the match off with a back suplex on the fucking apron, only to roll your opponent back into the ring and then do a chain sequence. It just doesn't really make that much sense. There's weird moments that happen a lot, like if you try to pick someone up off the ground, your character has a tendency to just awkwardly stand there and stare at your opponent. Dives or moves from the top rope also have a problem of not being registered, meaning sometimes you'll blatantly hit your opponent and they'll just absolutely no-sell you.
Watch out!
What the fuck is your neck made out of, Brock? Now, admittedly, these are small issues and are quite easy to overlook. But what I can't overlook is the second you introduce weapons like tables and ladders, the game just shits itself and breaks. Literally, the gameplay's fine for the most part, but it seems weapons tend to bring an abundance of glitches. From weapons taking on minds of their own, trying to escape the ring, to just causing game-breaking bullshit.
Shoulders down. 2.
Wait, mate, you counted 3. Why is it still... What? I'm getting screwed here! What? Excuse me, but what the fuck just happened there? Based on that, you can probably tell ladder and tables matches are a bit of a pain in the arse to get through, especially tables matches as the tables collapse if you so much as breathe on them, making it a struggle to put anyone through them without one of them falling over first. How? I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you make a game that's super realistic, it only makes it funnier when a glitch happens. No! Multi-man matches in general are a bit better than previous renditions, as the slowdown and stamina system help to make the matches a bit more dramatic and not go on 4 years too long. However, the targeting system is utter garbage, having you just focus on the person you're closest to. So you'll end up throwing a punch at the completely wrong person half the time, and it just makes things that much more tedious as you try to win the match by pinning someone, and then you'll end up pinning the completely wrong person or making them get up. From what I've seen, the more people and shit you add to these matches, the worse these issues become. Case in point, a Money in the Bank match. Right, as long as I stay on top of this ladder, I should be fine. Oh fuck, oh shit. The biggest issue I have isn't really with the gameplay though. Well, for the most part anyway. My issue is with how much shite 2K cut out of this game. Like, in comparison to the last gen games, the amount of different match types you can play here has been drastically cut down. But if you run out of stuff to do in the exhibition mode, well then don't worry, because 2K have you covered with a couple different modes to play. And with that great segue, let's start with Universe Mode. Now, Universe Mode has been a thing in the games for a while now, and has always been, well, not very good. I may be in the minority here, but I just think Universe Mode becomes super repetitive after a while, and in 2K15 it's no different. Universe Mode is a way for you to book the shows and create your own feuds and storylines, giving you the ability to make anyone you want WWE champion. For better or for worse. But that's about it, and sure that sounds great on paper, but here there's no substance to keep you playing longer than an hour or so. You'll end up seeing the same rivalry matches over and over and over again, with you being unable to change any of the matches, whether that be opponent or match type, without fucking up the rivalry, and you won't get a cool cutscene before or after the match. But even when you get a cutscene to progress the feud, it's just dull, and you'll end up seeing the same ones for completely different rivalries most of the time. Plus it's just a bit fucking random half the time, and we'll throw in matches out of nowhere. So yeah, Universe Mode's not very good here. But don't worry, because we have a career mode to play, which is sure to give us hours and hours of entertainment. Right? Now, as I mentioned, a career mode had not been in a WWE game since SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. So naturally, I was quite excited to create my character and play for a well put together career filled with interesting storylines and fun matches. So did that happen? Well, I'm gonna walk you through my experience with this mode, and you can be the judge of that. So I began this my career mode by creating my own character, and if you think the match types have been stripped down, well then you should see the fucking creation suite. There is a fraction of the options you used to have in previous games, leaving you with no real variety to choose from whatsoever. You have limited and basic options in every aspect of the creation suite, not only removing tons of shit like clothing and hairstyles, but also leaving you with fuck all options when creating an entrance. Plus everything takes about 2 hours to load, which makes a usually fun process drag on for days, and you can't even make a female wrestler. Cause you know, equality. So basically the creation suite has been absolutely butchered, and it makes me cry. Even in the options you do have, they all look way too similar. Also, why do I have 2 sets of eyebrows here? Eventually I did find something interesting though, and it inspired me to create a star in the making. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've heard of greats like Jake the Snake Roberts, the Rattlesnake Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Viper Randy Orton. Well, allow me to introduce to you the next snake-themed megastar, Colin the Coral Reef Snake. Okay, the name's a work in progress, but just really like coral snakes, okay? After I had finished sculpting beautiful Colin over here, linked with his Twitter and all, I set him off on his journey to the top. You begin in the Performance Center along with generic wrestler 133 as well as Baron fucking Blade! Big B Blade here is kind of a running joke in WWE games these days, but this is where he originally got his start, looking just the absolute worst in his neon green tights and his fucking mid-2000s tribal tattoos. You have a tryout match against Baza Blade, which abruptly ends in like 2 minutes with you tapping out to a Boston Crab that Baron doesn't let go of, meaning Big Bill DeMont comes in to break it up. And before you can ask why that even happened in the first place, Bill was so impressed with that great match that you're already being offered an NXT contract. From that point, you do a couple matches in the Performance Center, relearning all the basic controls that you've probably already learned up until this point, as Bill DeMont shouts encouragement from the sidelines.
I know 10 other guys that want this more than you do. Do you want to be here? Because right now it doesn't look like it. Are you even listening to me? You think the WWE Universe wants to see that?
Bill, you're lucky I can't come over there. Trust me, you want none of this, son. Eventually I managed to get onto NXT and make my debut, which was followed by a cutscene that was really fucking loud. From there you play a couple of pointless filler matches with the random generic wrestlers you've seen at the start, as well as one of NXT's top stars apparently. I mean, I wonder who that could be. Oh, it's Bo Dallas. Oh, the years have not been kind to you, my friend. But while you're here,
You can feel that.
you end up getting a shot at the NXT title, which I won! So naturally I was expecting some celebratory cutscene or something to recap this glorious moment in Colin's career, but what did I get instead? A text message saying I have to defend my title 4 more times in a row. What? So I did that, basically by getting DQ'd most of the time, and then I'm suddenly getting called up to Superstars. Maybe on second thought, can I just stay in NXT, please? At this point, the career mode in my eyes went from mediocre to absolute trash. To begin with, Vicky gives you the choice of what match you want to have, so I picked the one that gives you the most followers, because the game's progression is literally based on the amount of followers you have, so why would I pick anything else? Anyway, I played the match, won it in convincing fashion, and was then told by General Manager Vicky Guerrero that I'm being stripped of the NXT title because I didn't defend it. Why did you give me the option then? From here on out, you play the most mind-numbingly boring matches over and over again against the same fucking